Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Veda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurte. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayana Swayam Vyasena Grathitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaita Mritavarshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Ambatvāmanusandadhāmi Bhagavad Gita Bhavadveshinim Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutaha Stunvanti Divyaistavaihi Vedai Sangapadakramau Panishadaihi Gayanti Yam Samagaha Dhyanavasthita Tadgatena Manasa Pashyanti Yan Yoginaha Yasyantanna Vidussura Suraganaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha. Open page number 1, verse number 1. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Ajopi Sannavyayatma Bhutanam Ishvaropi San Prakritim Swamadhisthaya Sambhavamyatma Mayaya. Said yesterday in these verses, Lord Krishna describes the principle of avatara or incarnation. Avatara or incarnation is an important principle in Vedanta in Hinduism. That means that the Lord Himself, avataranam, comes down to the earth in a suitable form depending upon the need of the time to carry out a certain task. The next verse is Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam. Sadhunam paritranaya dushkritam vinashaya. For protecting the righteous ones and for destroying the wicked. We'll talk about that. So there is a purpose why the Lord incarnates into a given form. You know very well the incarnations are in different forms. Matsya, Kurma, Varaha. Matsya means a fish, Kurma, Varaha. So different forms are there, and the most evolved form is that of Lord Krishna. 10th avatar. But mainly the purpose of avatara or the Lord coming down to earth is to protect the righteous and destroy the wicked. Dharma samsthapanarthaya, for establishing dharma or righteousness. It is dharma, means the right conduct. Conducting ourselves in keeping with the basic law of interaction. How do we interact with you? How do I speak to you? How do I behave with you? How do I treat you? And while I am interacting with you, behaving with you, treating you, what should be my internal bhavana or attitude? How should my behavior be? And what should my attitude be? This determines the quality of my interaction. If the members of the society, members of any group, including a family even, and of society also, if they relate to each other according to certain, if it's a rule-based society, then everybody knows the rules and accordingly we behave and then we interact with people. What they call a rule-based society. Rule is a dharma, the righteousness. We told you basic rule yesterday that we should try to treat others the way we treat ourselves. I'm always kind to myself. I should attempt to be kind to you. I always try to make myself happy. I should attempt to do that too. This is difficult, but this is ideal. This is the fundamental law or fundamental dharma. And that defines the norm around which we interact in the society. Then I know how you will behave and you know how I will behave, and there can be harmony. It's called dharma. As long as dharma or harmony prevails, people are happy. Because there is harmony among people and people are happy. So when there is happiness, there is prosperity. When there is prosperity, then there is pleasure. When there is pleasure, there is indulgence. When there is indulgence, then people lose the idea of the boundaries, and there is the violation of boundaries, violation of dharma. And slowly adharma starts appearing. Because when we get what we want, the mind being what it is, if we give the mind what it wants more and more and more. Like pouring butter in the fire, we try to satisfy the desire of the mind comes with more and more desires. As long as we fulfill those desires within the rules, no problem. But then sometimes the desire becomes stronger and pressurizes us to even violate the rule because the pressure of desire increases. And that's how adharma slowly comes in. When adharma prevails, then there cannot be order in the society. People cannot be happy. So that is when Lord Krishna, Lord feels that he should intervene and bring everything into order. Paritranaya sadhunam. Sadhus are the God-fearing people, people who follow dharma, righteousness. You should protect them. Vinashaya yuskritam. Those crooked fellows who has made it their business to violate the rules, and they seem to prevail in the society, and they have disturbed the harmony of society, to subdue them. Dharma samsthapanarthaya, for establishing the rule of dharma, righteousness in society. So that is the purpose of the incarnation of the Lord. But important thing that the Lord Krishna says is that his birth is not like birth that you and I have. You and I are born according to, as determined by our karma, the actions that we have performed in the past. The past karma determine the present. So what we are in present, for example, this body that I have in the present is the product of the karma I have performed in the past. And so the present is the product of the past. But the important thing is that future is the product of the present. So this law of karma, which sometimes people criticize, law of destiny, and that makes people, that somehow discourages the purushartha or the self-effort. It is not so. This is meant to, in fact, encourage the self-effort of purushartha, because if the present is the product of the past, then future is the present, the product of the present. So what I do, that's how I build up my destiny. So law of karma means that we have the freedom to build our own destiny, and therefore we should take responsibility for what we do. So this is the law of karma, law of dharma, and that dharma-based society will function smoothly, people will be happy, in harmony. When that gets disturbed, and to such an extent that Lord feels that now he has to intervene, this is when he takes the incarnation. But birth that you and I have is a result of the karma that we perform. And our life also is in a way determined by the karma that we perform in the past. That is why each one has a different life, different destiny. Although, when we respond to destiny, we perform new karma and that way build the future destiny. The Lord is not bound by this karma. He is not born of the result of his own karma because he doesn't perform karma. This chapter teaches the secret of how a wise person appears to do everything without doing anything. Usually, it is said that the karma binds. That is, when I perform an action, I am accountable for the result of the action. If I perform an action, then I am accountable for the outcome of the action. If I say something here, I am accountable for the outcome of what I say. And then that again creates, when the outcome comes, I like it, I do not like it. If I like it, then I'm happy, and don't like it, unhappy. So happiness, unhappiness are the result. So likes and dislikes are the result. That's how new desires are the result, new karma. That's how the whole chain goes on. So Swamiji, when a wise person performs karma, does it mean that he also gets the result of the karma, he also gets bound and he also takes next birth? Answer is no. Why is the answer no? Because he appears to perform karma but does not perform karma. So that secret Lord Krishna wants to teach here. Lord Krishna wants to teach the secret of how to live life, how to perform our duties, how to do what we need to do without being bound. We perform karma but are not bound by karma. Ordinary person performs karma, is bound by karma, because if karma phala outcome comes, then that creates new karma. So the secret is taught here as to how you perform the karma without being bound by the chain of the karma phala, the product, the cause and effect chain, how you become free, remain free from that. That we'll see. The Lord is like that. He appears to perform karma, but internally he has no kartrutva, no doership. So when he's born, he is not born as a result of some karma, he is born by his own will that he wants to take certain form, which is suitable for a given situation. to respond to the situation, to set things right. Now, when do you take that incarnation? Let us read the next verse. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanirбhavati bharata abhyutthanam dharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृतां धर्म संस्थापनार्थाय संभवामि युगे युगे. यदा यदा हि धर्मस्य ग्लानिः भवति. Whenever dharma suffers a decline, abhyutthanam adharmasya, when adharma or the virtue and vice, when the adharma, there is an increase or ascending of the adharma, meaning that adharma becomes more powerful than dharma. As long as dharma is always there, but as long as dharma is more powerful, so long it's okay. But time comes when adharma starts becoming powerful. In what way? Because people start, violating the basic values. Value of trust, value of honesty. So slowly when the trust is lost, honesty is lost, people don't know how to relate to each other, and that's how the crooks, they always find their way. Then all righteous people suffer because they are not able to protect themselves. So dharma can be protected when you protect the people following dharma, meaning that righteousness is protected when righteous people are protected. Usually people who are righteous are not capable of, they don't have that kind of the strength to fight, etc. So therefore Kshatriya, Lord Krishna says, Yada yada hi dharmasya glani bhavati, whenever the righteousness declines, abhyutthanam adharmasya, when adharma or the unrighteousness is on the rise, becomes powerful, tada atmanam sujamyam, that is when I take the appropriate incarnation. For what reason? Lord Krishna said, paritranaya sadhunam, for protecting the sadhus or the righteous people, vinashaya dushkritam, for destroying the wicked, dharma samsthapanarthaya, and for establishing dharma. Sambhavami yuge yuge, yuge yuge, whenever required, sambhavami, I take birth. For those who know a little bit of Sanskrit, Lord Krishna, sambhavami. Bhavami, I become, I am born. Sambhavami, I am born excellently. So we are born because of our karma. Lord Krishna is born because of his will. It's not karma that compels him to do something. It is he who decides what to do. See, we are compelled by the karma. Swamiji, why did a given thought come in my mind? Why did I do something wrong? Sometimes people ask, why did I get angry? Why did I perform that action? Why did I tell a lie? Why did that thought come in my mind? Past karma. So our karma controls us, not that it has to control. The karma can give rise a thought in our mind. It is not that you do follow that thought, but mostly we do. Mostly what happens is, a thought arises and we go along with the thought. If you can create a distance between thought and our action, then any thought can arise in our mind. If there is a little gap between the thought and the action, then I decide whether to follow that thought or not. If I decide, then my behavior will be as I want. Most people are impulsive. As the thought comes, they act. As the thought comes, they act. The impulses govern the behavior. In that case, it's a very difficult thing. So, If you change our karma, the thoughts also will change, the behavior also will change, everything will change. Therefore, Lord Krishna says, Dharma samsthapanarthaya, to establish dharma, establish the rule-based society, establish righteousness. What is righteousness? Doing things right. You know the basic values of life. Ahimsa, satya, non-violence, truthfulness, honesty, kindness, compassion, charity. The basic values. So living a life based on the values will be the life of dharma. But it's not easy. Not easy to be honest. Because in being honest, you have to live the consequence of being honest. Being honest means, so where did you go? People have a very, what shall I say, embarrassing way of asking, where were you? Where did you go? So how many marks did you get? What is the great point? And I may not want to reveal this thing. No, then Indian people they ask this basic asking question. We are traveling in train, in 5 minutes he becomes a friend. He starts, what is your salary? Now, everything is not meant for everybody. And I'm embarrassed because I get a very low salary. And I don't know to admit that. So I say my salary is 25,000 rupees. So there are certain things that are important to us. My image is important to us. And so, in order to project a right image, very often we take little liberties. Where salary is 5,000, I say 10,000. How old are you, Swami? It depends on what I want to tell them. These are embarrassing questions people ask. So Swami used to say, that up to a certain point, people want to tell their age bigger, bigger than what they are. How old are you? So, in the beginnings, 40. When he's 50, he says, I'm 40. After 60, he says, I'm 70, Because see, in some 70, I still look young. So, somehow, you always want to impress other people, always want to get their approval. That is our need. The problem that we have is a need to get approval from others. Because we do not approve ourselves. And therefore, I need your approval. Therefore, what you think becomes important to me. And therefore, I wish that you think the way I want you to think. And therefore, I present myself in a manner to make you think well about me. So that is how in small things also we compromise honesty, compromise truthfulness. We may not even know that. But as I said, following the values is sometimes embarrassing, not always convenient. So as Swami used to say, in every situation there are two options. Doing what is right and doing what is convenient. And very often we take the convenient way out. That's how the righteousness is compromised. When that becomes the norm, the adharma prevails, then adharma brings all kinds of problems with it. It brings an unrighteousness, asatya, then brings himsa, violence, and that's why there's a lot of disorder in the society. That is when we hear the Puranas, how Ravana and all these people and how they brought tremendous torture and suffering for the people. So dharma samsthapanarthaya, Lord Krishna says, then he intervenes and sets things right and brings an order to the society. So this is the principle of avatara or incarnation. A very important principle for Hinduism. We accept avatara. We accept incarnation of the Lord. See, what is avatara? Avatara is born perfect. You and I are always born imperfect. We are born with limitations. Physical limitation, we limit, the body is limited, mind is limited, intellect is limited. We are given different powers. The Jnana Shakti, power to know, Ichha Shakti, power to will, Kriya Shakti, power to act. Each one of these is given these powers, but they are all limited powers. When Lord takes incarnation, He has infinite powers. His Ichha, His willpower also is infinite. Satya Sankalpa, whatever He wills, Satya Sankalpa, whatever Sankalpa, whatever He wills, happens. His Kriya Shakti, the power to act, also is infinite. His knowledge is infinite. So even though Lord Krishna may look like a little boy, He is still Sarvajna, Sarvashaktiman, Sarvavyapi, all those attributes or all those virtues He possesses in totality. That's called Avatara. So Avatara means even though the Lord has taken a form such as human form, and human being normally has many limitations, but Avatara is devoid of all limitations. And in Lord Krishna's life, that was very, very evident how from the childhood itself He did all these, He performed the karma, the amanushya karma, divine actions He performed, demonstrating His power of knowledge or power of action. So this is the principle of Avatara. But every Avatara does not display all aspects. When Lord Krishna took incarnation as Nrsimha, half lion, half man, only one task was to kill Hiranyakashipu, and that's it. Then he went left. When he took avatar as a boar, as Varaha, his task was to kill Hiranyaksha. So sometimes avatars are taken for a particular task. When the task is over, then it departs. But avatar of Rama and Krishna are meant to perform many, many tasks, and therefore they lasted a very long time. So is Lord Krishna. Now, all this is described about the avatara. What do we have to learn from them? What lesson should we learn from that? Because learning must become beneficial to us. So therefore, in the 4th verse, on the 2nd page, Lord Krishna says, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tatvatah tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti sorjuna. Janma karma cha me divyam. Me janma divyam. Me karma divyam. Me janma, Lord, my birth divyam is divine. Me karma divyam, my karma also is divine. My birth is divine. My actions are also divine. So what is meant by divine? In what way is the birth of Lord Krishna different from the birth of you and I? In what way is the action of Lord Krishna different from our action? What makes Lord Krishna's birth divine birth? What makes Lord Krishna's actions divine actions? A big secret is involved. He is born and still not born. He performs actions and still does not perform action. How does that work? Imagine a play being enacted on a stage, a play is being enacted. Imagine that there is an actor who is a very wealthy person, like a wealthy actor is there. That actor is performing the role of a beggar. So one who is within is a very wealthy person. The one who appears outwardly is a beggar, and so the actor performs the act of begging. Our Swami would say that, see, the Indian actors, Indian beggars have advantage, actors. This actor may have studied 20-25 beggars. He is a benefit also of the background music. Some nice singer is singing, bhajans and things like that. Actor can bring out tears from his eyes while begging. So that way the actor is very effective. So when he's bringing out tears from his eyes, do you think that he's really crying within inside? Outwardly, he appears to be crying. For whatever reason, because he has been hungry for the whole day, did not get anything today. He's so hungry and therefore he's crying. Tears are emerging from his eyes. Do you think he's really crying? When he's crying, he's acting, performing act of crying. He's crying and still not crying, is it not so? His actor is crying as far as the spectators are concerned, not crying as far as he is concerned, is it not so? There are two standpoints. One is outwardly he is begging as far as the spectators are concerned, and it is quite likely that actors are very well trained and therefore he may be begging and very effectively acting like a real beggar. He may really create a sympathy from us, even from the audience also. He can create the sympathy. People cry looking at the roles that the actors are playing. So outwardly he is a very effective beggar. Inwardly, he remains a wealthy person. Is it not so? So he is begging and still not begging. You follow? He is begging from the standpoint of the spectators. He is not begging from his own standpoint. Is it right? Begging and still not. This looks contradictory, is it not so? Begging and still not begging, contradictory. Because there are two standpoints. One standpoint is the standpoint of the spectators who see this person, crying, begging and crying, and looks very real. That is his standpoint. He's crying and congratulating himself. How effectively I am able to bring out the tears. So inside he's happy. Outwardly crying and inwardly he may still be congratulating himself. So two standpoints. One standpoint is he is begging. Other standpoint is he is not begging. Is it not so? How come? Can someone tell me? How can we say that he is begging and still not begging? We understand how it is so. So what is the difference between a real beggar and this beggar?
Beggar is in need of something. Whereas the acting people, the actor, he has to act only for that role. So he doesn't indulge in that character.
He maintains a distance with his costume.
Yes.
So while the acting is taking place, it is taking at a given level. At the level of the role, the acting is taking place. At the level of the person, no acting is taking place. There is a distance between the role and the actor. All acting takes place at the level of role, whereas the person knows his identity. So even while he is effectively acting as a beggar, inwardly he knows that I am a wealthy, but he does not forget his identity. The ideal actor is the one who always is aware of his true identity. He doesn't forget. We asked this question to one of the very prominent lady who was the director of all many action, dramas. We asked her, so when these actors perform it looks like in movies, they seem to forget themselves. The Dilip Kumar, when he's drunk, he looks like he's actually done. He's actually crying. So to us looks like they're actually, she said, no, actor should never forget his identity. Otherwise not acting at all. What is called acting? Acting is that you're acting. If you forget your identity and you become that, then no more an actor. So he says a good actor is the one who always retains the awareness of their identity and still acts effectively. That's a great accomplishment. But that's what an actor does. So that is why he's begging and still not begging. Why is it so? Because he's not identified with his costume. He's not identified with the role. He's playing the role, and there is a distance between the role and the actor. And there is what distance? It is distance of knowledge. Not distance, physical distance. Because where the beggar is, there the actor is. The beggar's hand is the actor's hand. The beggar's throat is the actor's throat with which he is talking and singing. There is no distance between the beggar and the actor in time and place. Where is the distance? Where the beggar is, there the actor is. What is begging? That the hand is begging, that is the actor's hand that is begging. The song that the beggar is singing is the song that the actor is singing. And still there is a distance between them. What kind of distance is that? Not physical distance. What is the distance? Little loudly. Mental. Distance of knowledge. What's the distance? Distance of knowledge. That he has a knowledge of who I am. He has knowledge of his true identity. Even while performing the action, he does not forget his true identity. Doesn't get lost in what he is doing. And therefore, he effectively retains his own self. That is the secret of acting. So when Lord Krishna acts, how does he act? Lord Krishna is Nataraja. He is an actor, in fact. Ideal actor. So when he appears to kill, some of you may be familiar with a stotra called the Shakradi Stuti. Some of you would know. In one verse it is said, Chitte Krupa Savaranishturta cha Dushta Tvayeva Devi Varde Bhuvanatrepi. So there the devatas are singing a praise of the mother goddess and says, Chitte Krupa Savaranishturta cha Dushta Kyenopama Bhadutesya Parakramasya Rupam cha Shatru Bhayakarya Tihari Kutra. So how can you describe your parakrama, your exploits for mother? Your rupa is twofold. Atihari, for your devotees, your rupa is extremely pleasing. For the demons, it is extremely terrifying. Same mother, goddess, appears terrifying to those demons, appears pleasing to devotees. Chitte Krupa Samanishthurata Jadushta. Samanishthurata. In Saman means in the battlefield. Nishthurata, she appears very cruel when she is killing the enemies. Chitte Krupa, but in a Chitta there is nothing but Krupa or compassion. No, that is what kind of acting that is? You are compassionate from inside and appear to be cruel outside. You are beautiful from inside and still appear to be terrifying outside. So that is the distance that is maintained between the role and the actor. It is a distance of knowledge. There is no physical distance. As I said, the hand of the actor is the hand of the beggar, and the song of the actor is the song of the beggar. Meaning that there is no distance in time, no distance in place, no other distance. What's the distance? Distance of knowledge. What's the knowledge? Knowledge of the true identity, that the actor is always aware of the true identity. So Lord Krishna says, Me karma divyam, my karma is divine. So, in what way is karma divine? Lord Krishna also appears to be performing actions like you and I do. He also, goes and breaks the pots and then seals the butter. He plays with his friends and sometimes his friends win sometimes and then he has to be punished. So all things are going on. And still, all these actions are being performed, which actions appear to be like worldly actions. It is all his leela, all right, but outwardly is all worldly actions. Inwardly, he is aware of his identity. What is his identity? That I am Bhagavan, I am Ishvara, I am divine, I am the Satchidananda, I am the existence, awareness, consciousness, Ananda, I am Krishna. The word Krishna you may have heard, Krishir Bhuvachaka Shabda, Rasya Nirvriti Vachaka, Toyaraikyam Sadananda. Krishna becomes Krishna. Krishir Bhuvachaka Shabda, that Krish means Bhuva, to be. Rana means Ananda. Toyaraikyam Sadananda, that Krish and Rana, Sat and Ananda becomes what? Sadananda. So Krishna means what? Sadananda, Satchidananda. That is essential nature. Outwardly he is committing all kinds of pranks, all kinds of mischief. And he may eat also a little bit of clay, like children do. And then he eats butter, steals butter. And his mother takes him to task. Hey, all these gopis are complaining. And they say that you have broken their pots and then stole butter and eaten butter. He says, no, my name Akan Kawa, I have not eaten butter. When can I eat butter? From morning till evening you send me to all this forest to perform my role, grazing the cows. When did I have time? And look at how short I am. My hands are so short. How can I reach all those, the pots which are hung there? But then, how come I see butter on your face? He says, these friends are all my enemies. They have, just to malign me, they have this butter they applied on my face just to make me appear as though I am a thief. He gives all kinds of reasonings and then says to the mother ultimately, I think there is some problem with you. That you look at me as a son of another mother, Parayo Jayo. That I am not your son. And that's why you are doing this to me. Janma karma cha. So his karma is very similar to everybody else's. But within himself, He has a distance between what he does and what he is. That is the distance of the knowledge. And therefore, he can be very cruel also outwardly. Just to be kind within. Because Ishvara cannot give up his compassion, cannot give up his kindness, then why does he so... all of you have heard Srimad Bhagavatam. And they always, when they talk of Putana, and then they talk of different demons, so Putana Uddhara they call it. Not Putana Vada. It's not Vada means killing Putana. Putana Uddhara means what? Putana has been lifted and sent to heaven. So he has a luxury of killing these demons left and right, and still he does not kill them, he is not cruel to them. In fact, that outward cruel action also is for their well-being. Janma karma chame divyam. This verse that we just read, Lord Krishna says, Me karma divyam, my karma, my actions are divine, my birth also is divine. What is meant by birth, The birth that you and I have is a result of our past karma. Our past karma has given rise to this body. And when we are born with the identification of the body. The problem is not the body. That the body is the result of karma is also not a problem. But that we are born with identification with the body, meaning that we are born with this notion of taking the body to be myself. I am the body. The body is not the problem, I am the body. The mind is not the problem, I am the mind. So body, mind, intellect, complex we have, this is like the costume. We are given this costume to perform our role on the stage of the world. So world becomes a stage And we have come here and we are given this costume of body, mind, sense organs to perform our roles. We are given different powers, the power to act, the power to will, the power to know. And where is the problem? Problem is that I think that I am the body. Body is not the problem, I am the body. I am the mind. I am the intellect. So when the body performs actions, what do I say? Right now, who is talking, My organ of speech is talking. What is talking? The organ of speech is talking. What is listening? Your organ of hearing is listening. What do I say? I am talking. What do you say? I am listening. What is listening? Organ of hearing is listening. Organ of speech is talking. I say, I am talking, meaning what? I am identified with my organ of speech and I claim, I am talking. You are identified with your organ of hearing and then you say, I am hearing. So that is our action. When we perform the action, there is also involved the identification with the costume. Like an actor who is a wealthy person has put on the costume of a beggar and something happens to him when he comes to the stage. Some little too much inside. And therefore when he looks at the mirror and sees the beggar, he thinks, I am the beggar. For some reason, this notion, I am the beggar, takes over him. And that is all, then he suffers. Then he suffers really because he thinks that I am a beggar. Similarly, you have taken this birth, this costume is given to us to perform our role. To perform the role, body is given, sense organs are given, mind is given, intellect is given, power is given, capacity is given. Perform your role, enjoy your life, contribute. We have been given, body is given, mind is given, thinking power is given, intellect is given, power of knowing is given. All these powers are given. What for? Contribute, serve the world, make others happy and be happy in that process. But unfortunately, the problem is that I am the body, I am the mind, I am the intellect. Then what happens, I become as small as the body. I become as small as the mind. Like, while watching movie, we all have experience that sometimes the movie is played so effectively that you forget yourself. There are certain movies, people coming out of the movie, everybody was crying. So I'm watching this movie in an air-conditioned theater. People have Coca-Cola in one hand, and, popcorn in the other hand. An air-conditioned pushback seat is there and watching. And my neighbor is crying profusely. This man is crying. I say, why are you crying? He says, my wife has left me. In the movie, that fellow's wife left him. His wife is sitting beside him. And still says, my wife has left me. So, when you identify, you become someone else. Understand? That's called identification. That's called identification. When we forget our original identity and become someone else. So also, we are identified with the body. I've become as good as the body, as good as the mind. I've forgotten my real identity. Therefore, I look upon myself as a small, insignificant creature. The body is insignificant, the mind is insignificant, the intellect is insignificant, and because of identifying with them, I say I am insignificant. That's the problem the human being has. I am insignificant. Constantly I become significant. I struggle constantly, try to become significant, to prove myself that I am something. To get your approval, to prove myself I am something, because I feel that I am a small, insignificant entity. That is because of identification. Not that I am insignificant. Because in reality, the Atma that Lord Krishna is the Atma that you and I are. Would you believe that? What is the difference between Lord Krishna and ourselves? Difference in costume. And what's second difference? In the distance. With Lord Krishna there is a distance of knowledge that he performs acting. With me there is no distance of knowledge that I am identified. So basic difference between Lord Krishna and this one is the difference of identification and lack of identification. That's the only difference. No, Swamiji, Lord Krishna can create the world. Can you create the world? No, I cannot. Lord Krishna can lift a mountain. Can you lift the mountain? No. As far as the capacity of the body, mind, sense complex is concerned, we are limited. And Lord Krishna has no limitation. But as far as the nature of Lord Krishna is concerned, what is he? Satchidananda. As far as nature of you and I is concerned, what are we? Satchidananda. The reason why Lord Krishna is describing himself is because what Lord Krishna is in essence is what we are. What Lord Krishna is in his upadi, in his costume, we are not. The level of costume, he can lift a mountain. Level of costume, he can perform many miracles, which we cannot do that. But at the level of self, he is also Satchidananda, you and I are also Satchidananda. When do we recognize that? When we can create the distance with his costume. All that is needed is to recognize that this is a costume, and what is necessary to do is to create a distance between the costume. That's why Vedanta teaches the Atma, Anatma, Viveka. Viveka means to separate. Atma, Anatma, Viveka. Separating the Atma from Anatma. Why have they become? Because of identification, the Atma, Anatma has to become one. By Viveka, we can make ourselves see that no, I am the witness of the body. I am not the body. I am the witness of the mind, witness of the intellect. I am different from that. This recognizing a true identity. In true identity, who am I? The witness. Who is witness? Consciousness. What is consciousness? Chit. What is Sit? Sat. What is Sat? Ananda. And therefore, in essential nature, I am also Satchidananda. In essential nature, Lord Krishna also is Satchidananda. Where's the difference? Difference is in costume. Janma karma chame divyam. Lord Krishna says, my karma is divine, meaning that while performing karma, I know that I am not performing karma. It is a role that I am playing. If we also recognize that, suppose we also recognize by creating distance between the role and ourselves, recognize that I am the witness of the role, the actor playing the role, I am not the role, then we become the same as Lord Krishna, not at the level of the upadhi, but then at the level of the self. Lord Krishna is the self, there is only one self. No, Lord Krishna is a different self, and we have a different self, one self. Alone acting through countless costumes. Lord Krishna's costume is one. This is another one, that's another one. The costumes are all different, but then the self or Atma is one. So, that is the secret. Lord Krishna is the one who knows that. Janma karma svame divyam evam yo veti tattvataha. One who knows in reality, tyaktva deham, after giving up this body, he doesn't take another birth, he is liberated. So, Lord Krishna is in this verse teaching the secret of moksha or liberation is by knowing the separation between the actor and the costume. So we'll continue tomorrow. Continue. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.